MSDR Carlo Maria Vigano, statement. Following the sacrileges and scandals of the Paris Olympic Games. The opening ceremony of the Paris Olympic Games is only the latest in a long series of vile attacks on God, the Catholic religion, and natural morality by the antichristic elite that holds Western countries hostage. We had seen no less disconcerting scenes at the 2012 London Olympics, the 2016 inauguration of the Goddard Tunnel, and the 2022 Commonwealth Games, featuring infernal figures, goats, and terrifying animals. The elite who organizes these ceremonies demand not only the right to blasphemy and the obscene display of the foulest vices, but even their mute acceptance by Catholics and decent people, who are forced to suffer the outrage of seeing the most sacred symbols of their faith and the very foundations of the natural law desecrated. We witnessed a dystopian dance macabre in which holograms of the horsemen of the apocalypse alternated with a plump blue Dionysius, served under a bell of various courses. The parody of the LGBTQ Last Supper, the truculent performance of a decapitated Marie Antoinette singing C'est Ira, called to celebrate the horrors of the French Revolution. The ballets of bearded transvestites and effeminate dancers accompanied by pitiful mime singers. In this provocative spectacle, Satan knows how to do nothing except ruin God's creative perfection, showing himself as the envious author of every counterfeit. Satan creates nothing, he only ruins everything. He does not invent, he tampers, and his followers are no different. They humiliate woman's femininity in order to erase the motherhood that recalls the Virgin Mother. They castrate man's manhood in order to tear from him the image of God's fatherhood. They corrupt the little ones in order to kill innocence in them and make them victims of the most abject wokeism. The opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games have given scandal, not only because of the arrogant display of the ugly and the obscene, but because of the infernal subversion of good and evil. The insane claim to be able to blaspheme and desecrate everything, even what is most sacred, in the name of an ideology of death, ugliness, and lies that defies Christ and scandalizes those who recognize him as Lord and God. It is no coincidence that the one sponsoring this revolting carnival is an emissary of the World Economic Forum, Emmanuel Macron, who passes off a transvestite as his own wife with impunity, just as Barack Obama is accompanied by a muscular man in a wig. It is the reign of mystification, of falsehood, of fiction erected as a totem, in which man is disfigured precisely because he was created in the image and likeness of God. Tolerance cannot be the alibi for the systematic destruction of Christian society, a society by which billions of honest and hitherto silent people identify themselves. This prevarication must end, and it must end not so much and not only because it hurts the sensibilities of believers, but because it offends the majesty of God. Satan does not have the rights of God. Evil cannot be put on the same level as good, nor can lies be equated with truth. This is what our civilization is based on, a civilization that some would like to bury under the physical and moral rubble of a world in shambles. It must be made clear that the patience and forbearance of the faithful and of citizens have been exhausted, that it is no longer time to deplore but to act. Even and especially when civil and religious authority are complicit in the betrayal. It is therefore necessary for Christians to organize around the world with concrete actions, first and foremost with a boycott of the Olympic Games and all their sponsors. It is equally necessary for companies not subservient to globalism to revoke their sponsorship contracts, and for delegations and individual athletes to withdraw from the Games which were inaugurated under the worst auspices. We must expect and demand that those responsible for this intolerable bullying be held accountable for their actions, as well as for the corruption that also accompanies this event. Finally, the homosexual set designer who gave birth to this blasphemous and vulgar spectacle must repay the fee that Macroniades charged French taxpayers. I urge Catholics to make reparation by prayer, fasting, and penance for the outrages perpetrated against our Lord Jesus Christ and against our holy religion. And may the confident recourse of those who are good before the throne of the Most High not be divorced from a general awakening of consciences, so that the King of Kings may once more reign over nations, societies, families, and the Church. Carlo Maria Vigano, Archbishop, July 28, 2024, Dominica X Post Pentecostan.